What if the person who shrugs off their birthday, who treats it as just another Tuesday, isn't simply humble or busy? What if that dismissive wave of the hand is the final, silent symptom of a profound psychological rupture, a break in the very timeline of the self? Within the next minutes, we're going to explore a darkness that masquerades as indifference. We will uncover why the refusal to celebrate one's own birth is rarely about the day itself, but about a deep, often terrifying, disconnection from the narrative of one's own life. By the end of this, you will not see a birthday as a mere anniversary. You will see it as a psychological mirror. And for those who look away, we are going to discover what they are truly avoiding, and how that avoidance holds the key to a form of self-reclamation that most people will never understand. Let's begin with a story. Not about a person who hates parties, but about a man named Daniel. Daniel is successful, composed, and to his colleagues, enviably low maintenance. When his birthday approaches, he preemptively tells everyone, "Don't make a fuss, I don't really do birthdays." He might book a solo business trip or simply work through the day. If pressed, he'll joke about fearing aging. But the truth, the one he never speaks, lives in a memory from when he was 7. He had spent weeks crafting a list of desired gifts drawn in crayon. The morning of his birthday, his parents were in the midst of a silent, Cold War divorce. His father forgot. His mother, brittle with resentment, shoved a wrapped present at him, a generic set of socks, and said, "Happy birthday. Try not to be a burden today." The message was not in the words, but in the energy. His existence, his celebration, was an inconvenience, an eruption of need into a world that had no space for it. For Daniel, and for millions like him, the birthday didn't vanish. It inverted. It became not a day of celebration, but an annual psychological landmark where the core wound of their childhood echoes the loudest. The refusal to celebrate isn't indifference. It is a meticulously planned defensive operation. It is the preemptive silencing of a self that was once told, explicitly or implicitly, that its arrival was not a gift, but a problem to be managed. To understand this, we must dismantle the fairy tale of what a birthday is supposed to be. Culturally, it is a sacred milestone. It shouts, "You matter. Your existence is a joy. You are seen and loved." It is a communal reaffirmation of an individual's value. But for a child who grows up in an environment of emotional neglect, chronic stress, or outright trauma, that narrative is a lie. The birthday becomes a day of profound cognitive dissonance. The world is performing a ritual of love, but the emotional reality of the home is one of indifference, tension, or conditional affection. The child's brain, which is a meaning-making machine, is forced to reconcile two opposing truths. Truth 1, the world says today I am special. Truth 2, my primary emotional world treats me as an afterthought or a source of stress. The psyche cannot hold this contradiction for long, so to survive, it makes a brutal choice. It rejects the external ritual to align with the internal, painful reality. It decides, the world is wrong. I am not special. To believe I am would make the pain of my reality unbearable. This is not a conscious decision. It is a psychological adaptation. The birthday, therefore, becomes a trigger, not for joy, but for the resurfacing of that foundational pain. Avoiding it is not about avoiding cake. It is about avoiding the emotional avalanche of that unresolved childhood dissonance. This brings us to a powerful and dark psychological concept, the rejection sensitivity dyad. Often studied in the context of personality disorders, but deeply relevant here, it describes a cycle that begins with an intense, preemptive fear of rejection or being a burden. The individual, to avoid the anticipated pain of disappointment, then engages in preemptive rejection. They reject the celebration, the people, the day itself, before the world can reject them. In doing so, they gain a grim sense of control. Daniel choosing to work on his birthday isn't passive. It is an active act of self-sabotage that he controls. It is less painful to choose loneliness than to extend the need and have it ignored or crushed. This is the hidden logic of the non-celebrator. If I declare the day meaningless, then your forgetfulness or your half-hearted effort cannot hurt me. I have already nullified the battlefield. They aren't avoiding celebration. They are performing a ritual of self-negation to inoculate themselves against the deeper pain of existential disappointment.
Let's dive into the brain chemistry, because this is more than a story. It's a biological reality. Dr. Robert Cloninger's research on the psychobiology of personality identifies a system called the Behavioral Inhibition System, or BIS. This is a neural circuit deeply associated with sensitivity to punishment, novelty, and, crucially, unmet expectations. In individuals who experienced chronic emotional uncertainty in childhood, the BIS can become hyper-developed, a hair-trigger alarm system for social threat. A birthday, with its high social expectations and focus on the individual, is a minefield for the BIS. The hypervigilant brain doesn't see potential for joy. It scans for potential points of failure. Will someone forget? Will the celebration be lacking? Will I seem ungrateful? Will I be a burden? The anticipation of the day can trigger a cortisol spike akin to preparing for a fight. The logical brain's solution? Remove the threat. Cancel the celebration. The brain chooses the known pain of solitude over the unknown, terrifying risk of public emotional exposure and potential humiliation. This is why the argument, "but it's just a fun party," falls on deaf ears. You are speaking the language of reward to a brain that is speaking the language of survival. Now consider a more extreme but illuminating story. A woman named Anya hadn't celebrated her birthday since she was 12. Her father, a volatile man, had thrown a literal tantrum at her childhood party because the noise gave him a headache. The celebration ended in tears, punishment, and the message, "Your joy is an imposition." As an adult, Anya would experience a fugue state every year around her birthday. She would book a hotel room under a fake name, turn off her phone, and dissociate for 24 hours, reading the same page of a book over and over. She wasn't choosing to be alone, she was psychologically reenacting a trauma. Her consciousness was fleeing the date itself. This is where the non-celebration crosses from choice into compulsion, a psychological anniversary reaction. The body peeps the score, as Bessel van der Kolk famously wrote, and the calendar is one of its ledgers. For Anya, the trauma wasn't just the memory, it was wired into her annual sense of time. Her avoidance was a desperate, automated act of self-preservation, a ritual to quiet the phantom pain of a joy that was once violently punished. This behavior is also deeply entangled with the concept of the false self, described by psychoanalyst Donald Winnicott. In environments where a child's authentic, needy, celebratory self is met with disdain or indifference, the child learns to hide it. They construct a false self, a compliant, low-maintenance, needless persona that says, "I'm fine, I don't need anything." This false self is a survival tool. It protects the vulnerable, authentic, true self from further injury. The adult who doesn't celebrate their birthday is often the guardian of this false self. To allow a celebration is to risk exposure. It is to say, "I have needs. I want to be seen. I deserve joy." That is the language of the buried true self. For the guardian, that feels dangerously akin to psychological nakedness. The birthday becomes a threat to the entire carefully constructed identity of self-reliance and emotional independence. It's not that they don't want joy, It's that the pathway to it feels like walking across a minefield laid in their own childhood.
But here is where we find the first glimmer of light in this dark psychology. The very fact that the day is marked by avoidance, by ritualistic silence, by active dismissal is a clue. It points directly to the wound. The pain wouldn't be so powerful if the desire didn't exist on the other side of it. The person who claims it's just another day with a little too much force is often the person for whom it could have meant everything. The indifference is a scar tissue over a profound yearning. This is the crucial, mind-altering reframe. Your avoidance is not evidence of a lack of desire for connection. It is the tragic, twisted proof of how deeply you once longed for it and how catastrophically that longing was met. You are not a person who doesn't need celebration. You are a person who learned, in the most visceral way, that to ask for it was to invite soul-crushing disappointment. You sealed away the part of you that cares, not because it's weak, but because it was too powerful, too vital, and too vulnerable to survive in the emotional environment you were given. We've laid the groundwork. We've seen how the missed birthday is a symptom of a fractured self-narrative, a hyper-vigilant brain protecting a deep wound, and a false self standing guard over a buried true self. But this understanding, while powerful, is only the archaeology of the tamed. It digs up the ruins. The real question, the dangerous and liberating one, is this: what do you do when the ritual of self-negation has become your identity? How do you reclaim a day, and by extension, a narrative, that has been colonized by pain? Now, we will move from diagnosis to a form of psychological alchemy. We will explore how to stage a silent, internal coup against the false self. We will discuss how to perform a date reclamation ceremony that has nothing to do with parties or other people, and everything to do with speaking a new language to your deepest self. The path forward isn't about forcing a celebration. It's about understanding that the power to redefine that day, and therefore your own story, is the ultimate form of dark, sovereign psychology.
Let's return to Daniel, the man who booked business trips to escape his birthday. His awakening did not come from a surprise party. It came from a moment of brutal clarity during another sterile hotel room evening. He was staring at the digital clock as it clicked over to the date of his birth, and he felt not relief, but a wave of grief so vast it terrified him. It was in that wave he realized his elaborate ritual of avoidance was not freedom, it was an annual pilgrimage to the altar of his own unimportance. He was still performing for his parents 3 decades later, proving he could be the needless, burdensome child they demanded. He was still obeying. The rebellion, he understood in a flash, would not be enforcing a celebration he didn't feel. The rebellion would be to change the meaning of the day entirely. His first act of rebellion was tiny. The next year, on that day, he didn't book a trip. He took the day off, but told no one why. He woke up, and with the solemnity of a monk, he wrote one sentence on a piece of paper. "Today, I witness myself." He then did something he had never allowed. He let himself feel the full, ugly, lonely weight of the day without running from it. He didn't fight the sadness. He sat with it, and by simply acknowledging it without judgment, he performed his first act of self-parenting. He became the adult witness to the child's pain. In that act, the day began for the first time to belong to him and not to his past. This is the cornerstone of reclamation, sovereign witnessing. Before you can change a story, you must be willing to read the original text without flinching. For the non-celebrator, the birthday is a story written in the language of trauma. Your task is not to rip out the pages, but to learn to read them with new eyes, your own. this requires a deliberate psychological ritual. It begins with a question, asked in a quiet moment. What does this date actually mean to my nervous system? Not to your logical mind, but to the animal part of you that holds the memory of shattered expectations. The answer won't be intellectual. It will be a felt sense, a tightness in the chest, a hollow feeling, a specific old memory rising to the surface like a ghost. This is the data you have been avoiding. This is the ghost you've been feeding with your silence. Your job is to sit with that ghost, to say, I see you. You are the part of me that learned celebration was dangerous. You are the part that still protects me from that old hurt. Thank you for your service, but I am here now and I am strong enough to hold this memory with you. This internal dialogue is not self-pity. It is a strategic psychological maneuver. You are integrating the exiled emotion, bringing it into the light of your adult consciousness, where it can finally begin to lose its power. You are draining the charge from the trigger. This process of integration directly targets the hyperactive behavioral inhibition system we discussed. Your BIS is like a paranoid security guard, convinced the birthday is a threat. By willingly facing the day's emotional content in a controlled, safe, solo environment, you are gathering evidence to present to that guard. You are proving through direct experience that feeling the sadness, acknowledging the loneliness, or touching the old disappointment does not, in fact, kill you. It is uncomfortable, it is painful, but it is survivable. Each moment you consciously stay present with the feeling, you are weakening the neural pathway that says avoid and strengthening a new one that says I can observe this and remain whole. This is exposure therapy for your own history. You are not exposing yourself to parties, you are exposing yourself to the raw, internal material you have been fleeing. And in that flightless space, a miraculous shift can occur. The day begins to transform from a trigger of avoidance into a sacred container for your own unedited experience. Now, let's introduce a darker, more potent framework, shadow work as conceived by Carl Jung. The birthday you avoid is not neutral. It has become part of your shadow, the repository of all the parts of yourself you have been forced to disown. In this case, what's in the shadow? The part of you that wants to be celebrated, the part that believes it is special, the part that desires attention and love without shame, the part that feels deserving of joy. For the child who was met with indifference or punishment for these needs, these traits became dangerous. They were cast into the shadow. So the adult you, the non-celebrator, isn't just avoiding a day. You are actively rejecting a disowned, shadowy part of your own psyche. Every time you say it's nothing, you are recasting that needy, celebratory self into the darkness. The reclamation, therefore, is an act of shadow reintegration. It is about deliberately, and in a way that feels safe to your system, inviting those disowned parts back in. This doesn't mean throwing a gaudy party. It might mean allowing yourself a small secret symbol, buying a single pastry and eating it slowly, thinking, this is for the me who was never allowed to have a whole cake. It is a silent, symbolic act that says to your shadow, I see you. You are welcome here. Your desire is not a crime.
Consider the story of Anya, who dissociated in hotel rooms. Her reclamation began not on her birthday, but months before. She started a practice of writing letters to her 12-year-old self every Sunday, not about her birthday, just about life. She'd tell that child about her job, about a movie she saw, offering the simple, attentive communication she never received. As the birthday approached, the letters became more specific. I know what is coming. I know you are scared, but I am here now, and I will not leave you alone in that hotel room. When the day arrived, she did not book a hotel, she stayed home. She felt the old panic rise, the urge to flee her own mind.
But instead of dissociating, she read the letters she had written. She laid on the floor, put a hand on her heart, and let the waves of panic and grief crash over her, while repeating, "I am here. You are safe with me." For her, this was the most profound celebration imaginable. She showed up for herself. She ended the ritual by lighting a single candle, not for her birth, but for the survival of the girl who had endured that original trauma. The candle was a beacon for the disowned self, a signal fire saying, "I am reclaiming this night." This journey is about moving from a trauma time back into sovereign time. Trauma time is cyclical, repetitive, and past-focused. It pulls you back annually to re-experience the old wound. Your avoidance is actually a part of trauma time. It is a reaction to the past. Sovereign time is linear, forward-moving, and authored by your present self. It asks, what meaning do I choose to assign this day now? The answer must be personal, powerful, and utterly divorced from external validation. Perhaps you reclaim it as the day of witnessing, or the day of silence and strength, or the day of private permission. Maybe you perform a ritual of burning a piece of paper with the old toxic messages written on it. The key is that the ritual is for you, by you, and its success is measured only by its emotional truth to you. It is a direct psychological counterspell to the original trauma. You are breaking the curse by changing the ritual. This path of dark self-reclamation leads to an unexpected destination, a form of joy that is unshakable because it is entirely internal and uncontaminated by expectation. It is not the bubbly, performative joy of a party. It is the deep, quiet, defiant joy of self-ownership. It is the joy of looking at a date on the calendar that once held power over you and whispering, "Not anymore. You are mine now. I decide what you mean." This is the ultimate power of the person who doesn't celebrate their birthday. You have within you the blueprint for a form of self-validation so complete it needs no audience. You were forced to build your own foundation, and while it was built in loneliness, that foundation can now support a tower of incredible sovereignty. Your non-celebration was never a deficit. It was a mute protest against a world that failed to welcome you properly. Now the protest is over. The work is no longer about refusing what was never offered, but about building what you needed for yourself, within yourself. The birthday is just a calendar point we use for this discussion. The real territory is your entire relationship with your own worth, your own narrative, your own right to take up space in the timeline of your life. When you reclaim that day, you reclaim every day. You move from a character written by your past into the author, writing your present with a hand that is no longer afraid to hold the pen. The silence around your birthday was a story screamed in a vacuum. It's time to step out of the vacuum and speak a new story in a voice that is finally, wholly, and darkly your own.